We're good to go.
Great. All right. Okay, let's do it. Well, welcome everybody. So for those of you who are joining us in person and online, we have a lovely small group here in the room at the CPA offices at the Rocks, and we have a massive crowd online. So welcome everybody. It's always lovely to get together face to face. So my name is Danielle Stein-Fairhurst. I'm a financial modelling specialist, and I enjoy running these sessions, whether it's in person, which is really lovely, or it's often we do them online, and it's a fantastic opportunity to get together and talk about a subject that we are all very passionate about, which is Excel and the use of Excel in financial modelling. So before we go further, I'll just do our welcome to country, which is to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of this land, and to pay my respects to the elders, both past and present. So today we are joined by Joshua Grimm. So he is a financial modeller. He's got lots and lots of experience in the world of financial modelling, and thank you so much for agreeing to do this topic for us today. So Joshua has worked in London and here in Australia. He's been with Mazars for several years now, and he specialises in financial modelling training. In fact, he's just come from a valuations financial modelling training course that he ran here in Sydney today. What else have we? So for those of you who are joining us, for those of you who are here in the room, if you have questions, Joshua is quite happy to take questions as we go. So it's a discussion group, so feel free to ask any questions as they come up. We have a fabulous setup here in the room, so just speak up and the microphones will pick up your voice. For those of you who are online, just type in any questions that you have, and I'll put those to Joshua as we go through. What else? The Financial Modelling World Cup. For those of you who are here, we ran this in person. My co-commentator, Tim Heng, was our speaker at the last event, and he and I are hosting an event tomorrow night, which is the Microsoft Excel World Championships. Very exciting. So that is going to be the semi-finals. So we've got, I think there's about 32 people that are going to be competing tomorrow. So it's about this time tomorrow night. It's about 24 hours from now. And it's going to be streamed live on YouTube and ESPN3. And lots of people will be doing it offline. And then there's, I think, six or eight people will be doing it on live, and you'll be able to see their screens. And Tim and I will be commentating on that. So that'll be lots of fun. Looking forward to it. And then the finals are in a few weeks from there. So seeing, depending on how that goes. So yeah, so the topic that we have tonight is on model review tools, which I think is a really useful topic. For those of us who've been financial modelling for some time, I think you'll know just how easy it is to have a mistake in your model, and such a large percentage of financial models contain errors, and being able to go through, it's quite a skill, and it's a specialist skill, being able to check models, not only your models, but your colleagues' models as well. And Joshua's going to take us through some of the tools and techniques for how to do that. So I'm really looking forward to what he has in store for us. So I'll invite you to come up, Joshua, and give you the floor. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Danielle. It's good to be here. So my name is Josh. I'm from Mazars, as Danielle kindly introduced me. Just a background of myself. So I am an accountant. I've moved into financial modelling in one way or another. And I've worked with Mazars since 2017, both here in Sydney and in London. Specialise in energy infrastructure and environment sector modelling as well. So talking about project finance, renewable energy projects mainly, as well as some road, airport infrastructure, all those sorts of things. So a lot of strain and attention is put onto the financial models in that sector. There's a lot of money being invested up front. In terms of reaching out, my LinkedIn details are there. I welcome anyone to reach out and connect with me there as well. I'm always happy to talk about financial modelling and Excel. bit of a nerd, always posting on LinkedIn, so please do connect.
That's how I first met you, was on LinkedIn.
Yeah, exactly. So a bit about Mazars, so just some figures there, but essentially we're a global professional services firm. As I said, worked here in Sydney, worked in London. My team is spread across New York, Toronto, New Delhi, and Milan as well. And I think we're just opening an office in Joburg, so we'll see. And yeah, so 44,000 plus professionals, and we really do work across that global network as well. And we can see there where we're positioned. We also publish a whole heap of content. So since 2005, between Mazar and Corality, we have produced financial modeling training, content on our methodology and best practice when it comes to financial modeling and using Excel. And part of that is in training courses that I deliver in my role. And then beyond that is webinars and blog posts that we publish as well, which are all free. They're all available through the website. We have a newsletter where we keep people updated on upcoming webinars, so you can participate live. And then we also record them and post them on our website too. So there's lots of information there. When it comes to financial modeling, the more information, the better, right?
Absolutely.
We all improve when we look at what other people are doing. In terms of what we're going to cover tonight, we'll see what we can get to. I have some exercises. We're going to go through some examples of some spreadsheets, some models, but the focus is going to be on the principles of reviewing. This comes from the perspective of being a financial modeler, so building the spreadsheets myself with my team, my analysts, and providing the peer reviews, because it's very difficult to review your own work. There's a lot of bias. You can say, oh, that's fine. I know that works, but it may not. And having that exterior perspective can be really useful too. But we also provide model audit service. We will be an independent auditor providing an opinion on the model itself and how correct or free from error it is. And it's quite a large piece of project finance modeling, where a lot of the deal is contingent on that financial model itself. We'll be using different review techniques. So these are the techniques that we use as well. So I'll be running through those. So that's inspection and analytical review. And if we get some time, we'll talk about some common errors as well that we see in financial models and spreadsheets. So the principles, ultimately there's some key risks when it comes to financial models and the errors that we see. As Danielle said, a lot of financial models contain errors. There's been studies. Ernst & Young, Big Four accounting firm, say 100% of models contain errors of some kind. KPMG, another firm, 90% of all spreadsheets with more than 150 rows of formulae contain material errors. And there was a study, quite old now, 1998. Hopefully we've progressed since here, but MBA students with over 250 hours of experience had a 24% chance of introducing errors into the first worksheet they build in a model. So experience isn't everything. So businesses, financiers, lenders, they rely on these models. Ultimately, models are built for decision-making purposes, right? We're either analyzing past results, we're predicting future results, or maybe a blend of the two. So the objective of model validation, review, not quite in order, is to provide the assurance that the results can be relied upon. Ultimately, the intention is just to reduce that risk. There's financial risk, there's also reputational risk for the person building the model, people reviewing it, and the people making the decisions on those models too. So here's an example of how the risk can develop. So maybe the model was developed generically, so not specific to the circumstances for that project, that business, that plan. There's insufficient training of the model developer and quite often the user too. We find that most people that use spreadsheets are not for the most sophisticated users. And so when I'm building a model, when our team are building models, we try and keep that in mind too and make things as simple as possible. We like to use a methodology, and we have our own methodology, the Mazars modeling methodology, but there are many more out there. And the importance is that you use one that suits you and you use it consistently and in best practice. We want to separate inputs from calculations and outputs and make sure that we have consistent formulas across the rows. We're applying single line logic. And try and make the structure of the model itself as optimal as possible while still being easy to navigate and understand. There should be some documentation, some guides about how the model could be used. I know we started sending out models with a video that was a screen recording running through the model and us explaining how to use and update the model. So that's a really good idea too. You host it on YouTube or Vimeo, and then you just provide a link, hyperlink in the model itself.
I've actually started using Loom quite a lot,
Okay.
in similar way when I would explain a model, I'd send the model to the client during development, and then he'd say, "Oh, let's jump on Zoom," and and then we have to do it. And it's actually easier to just record a Loom video, which is not to be kept, but just to explain. Get sort of more used to using video nowadays.
Yeah, it's good because it is that interaction and not necessarily needing to sit down in the same space and doing it live as well, which is good. The formulas should be simple, not complex, transparent, not overly long, and then there's issues around circular references too. So the process. We have a whole heap of processes that we follow in terms of quality. So as we're building models, having it peer reviewed, having it signed off by other people in the team, making sure that we're in line with the selected methodology. So for us, our own, but certainly we build models under other methodologies too. Making sure that we have the appropriate starting file if we're using another model as that starting point. Making sure it is appropriate, and providing a style guide too, along with the legend that explains what each format or representation means. We want to build in checks, and this is really important. Model integrity, for one, so making sure that the balance sheet balances if you have financial statements, or that your cash doesn't go negative. And that's instant feedback. As soon as a user of the model makes a change, it's going to tell them something's wrong. The internal review as well, so about who should review the model, what level of expertise or experience is appropriate, and ultimately just having someone else have a look at it.
Excuse me, Josh.
Yes.
I apologise. On a previous slide, I have a question. You mentioned untrapped circular references.
Yes.
So does that mean that there is a thing called a trapped circular reference, and that's okay to have? That's not an error.
Yeah. So circular references, there's going to be. I'm sure we've all had it. You'll get the error come up. Circular reference. Check to make sure. So there'll be instances where circular logic is okay. And so we come across this a lot in project finance, debt sizing, sculpting of repayments. What we're calculating is the interest, which is dependent on how much we draw down, and we're drawing down to fund the interest expense. So it's circular in nature. So we trap or break that circularity, and then the model will continue to work. But there are issues around, and I can show this as well, the iterative calculations feature in Excel, which means that circularities will continue to calculate. And so not just the one circularity that we're concerned about, but every circularity that you may introduce into the model as you build it. And so this is a risk of error too.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. All right. So the process itself for review, we have inspections. So that's using things like Inquire, which I'll be running through. This is a feature of Excel. It's been included in the enterprise license since 2013. and not too many people know about it because it's an opt-in feature. For some reason, Microsoft have not made it appear in the ribbon, so we need to turn that feature on. So I'll be running through that. We'll look at the formula auditing toolbar, so that is in Excel itself, and then also some analytical reviews. So introducing sparklines, again, a feature that's been there for quite some time and not too many people really know what it is or how to use it. Scenario analysis and delta sheets, as well as discussing reperformance, replication or shadow modeling as well. So onto inspection. We use Inquire because it's really easy to access. It's readily available to anyone with an enterprise license of Excel from 2013 onwards. It allows us to analyze a workbook, the structure, any potential errors, any features really that we want to see. It will produce reports based on those items, and then we can also compare files. So if you have the latest version of a model with some errors and the previous version that was okay, you can run the two side by side and see what has changed. And so we're able to review the new model and see what might have gone wrong. The activation of Inquire is just through the options menu. And like any add-in, we go through select COM add-ins and check Inquire. Once we do that, it should appear in the ribbon. However, if it doesn't, then you also need to make it appear in the ribbon itself. But I'll go through and show where we can see that. We can run an analysis of the workbook. It's going to give us a heap of options in terms of what we might want to review. And so we'll go through that in the example. But it will produce a report, so an external workbook that contains a tab for each of these options with cell references, the values in those cells that will help us to understand where the potential errors may be in the model. So I'll go to the demonstration. So here we have a model. It's just for illustrative purposes. The model itself is made up of multiple sheets. So we have our inputs here with our specific input style. So this is where any hard-coded information should go. Everything else is calculated, is dynamic. And so these are separate from the calculations and the outputs themselves. Our calculations lie across the bottom here in the gray sheets. And then the outputs, the cash flow statement, sits in the output sheet. So we should expect some segregation. Therefore, there should be no hard codes on the output or the calculation sheets, only on the input sheet. And we should see a logical flow from inputs through calculations to outputs. The Inquire feature you can see here on my ribbon, but to get there, we go to File and Options, and then in Add-ins, we select to manage COM add-ins, click Go, and then if you have the appropriate license, you should already have Inquire there. So you check it and press OK, and it should appear. The features across the top that are of interest, so Workbook Analysis provides that report that I've mentioned. You can also create diagrams, so workbook relationships. If there are external links to other workbooks, you'll be able to see those links. Worksheet relationships, so the relationship between sheets, and then also cell relationships. So for the specific cell that we're in, where else it looks within the workbook. We can compare files, so this version versus previous version, and then we can also very easily clean excess cell formatting, which is a good feature too. So if our file starts to get quite large and slow, we can do that, and hopefully that will reduce it. It is very useful because doing that manually is not a lot of fun.
Does formatting affect the size of the file, does it?
Yeah,
Conditional formatting or just standard?
all formatting. So there's over 16,000 columns in a standard Excel 365 workbook. And so if you format 16,000 columns, it's going to be a lot more data that's stored rather than just whatever you actually need.
So if somebody were to highlight the entire column and then apply some formatting, that could...
A million cells.
Yeah.
And there's typically a problem in larger financial models. There's a lot of information and a lot of calculations going on, so the formatting just adds to the file size in that way.
And what does that do when you press that button? It gives you a box of options.
Clean Excel formatting, you can choose to apply it to whichever sheets you want.
That's it.
So just the active sheet, and then it will go through. You can save the options, but it will just go through and say, this is the section of the worksheet that you're using, but there's information on formulas, information, data, anything beyond that, it will remove the formatting. And previous to Inquire, we had internal macros that did the same thing, and a lot of places did, because when you're reviewing models, you just end up with that excess formatting by accident or omission. So yeah, definitely a good feature too. For the analysis, this can be a little bit slow depending on the model. This one should be fine. It'll ask if you want to save changes. So yes, and then it should bring up a window. And I've had this issue a few times recently. I was hoping it wasn't going to happen.
We just have a question in the chat, Gunjan, saying, what would be excess cell formatting? So it just removes formats.
Yeah, not any values. It will remove the fill, the outline, any text formatting that's bold.
How does it determine that that's excess?
That's a good question. I think it looks at almost like the automatic sort of print area as well. So it'll say there's information in this area. There's nothing beyond this point to the right or down. So I assume it's something along those lines. Yeah. So apologies, I'm having slight issue with my Excel.
Can I have a question?
Yeah.
What about like links to like outside files that sometimes, it's just like unnecessary links that it links to outside. Does it actually appear in this?
Yeah, it will. Hopefully it works. That's a shame. I'm not going to be able to
Is it
open it up.
buggy today?
Have it sometimes. So it's open, but it doesn't show.
Oh, it's popping up. It's pop up and it's showing.
Yeah. It's really annoying. Okay. I will just go on the screen grab that we have here and try and discuss how it looks, I guess, at the moment. So what will come up is it will analyze the workbook. It will look through all of your formatting, all of your formulas, and it will give you a count. So we can see here, I know it is quite small on the screen, but for example, there are 45,503 formulas in the workbook that this screenshot was taken from. There's 4,281 with logical values and 57,625 with numeric values. You can go through the list, but the ones that are of interest here tend to be nested if statements. We want to try and simplify our formulas, and there can be a lot there. Those referencing blank cells, so we're referring to a cell, but there's no information in it. Any external workbooks, to the question earlier, as well as inconsistent formulas across a row as well.
It's all like really quite error prone.
Yeah. Exactly. And it goes on. I mean, you can look at things like conditional cells with conditional formatting. One of the really useful ones here is you can look for hidden sheets, but not just hidden sheets, very hidden sheets as well, which is a bit of a trick. So unfortunately, yeah, through VBA, it's possible to make a sheet so hidden you would never even know it's there. Well, this will uncover it, which is good and bad, I guess, depending on who you are. So it will run this report, and it's going to be a shame if I can't get it to develop, because I don't think I have a screenshot of what it looks like. I will try one more time.
Some of the features that inspect document does. More than that.
Yeah. No, it's not.
Is it though?
No, it does this sometimes. I even tried it today and it was fine, which is a bit of a shame. Essentially, I'll see if, I don't think I have an example. It'll essentially be a workbook that will save to wherever you save it, and it will have a tab for each of those options that you checked. And it will just have a list of the cell reference, the value in that cell and the formula itself as well, and then a space for comments. So you're actually able to develop a report, which you could then send to the person who built the model and provide your feedback as well. And it's all very easy to trace.
So what does workbook passwords do?
I am actually not too sure. It's not something I've used, to be honest.
I presume it doesn't give you the password.
I don't think it's a brute force
That would be useful.
bit of code. It would be. Yeah, I don't recommend using passwords personally. So in terms of diagrams, as I said, we're able to create that diagram of the worksheet relationship. So this is very useful for anyone that's got a database management background. You'll be able to see the relationship between the book and then the individual sheets, and you can actually move these around as well and play around with it. So quite useful just to review. Ideally, you should see that the inputs should feed all of our calculation sheets, and the outputs are just fed from those, but we do also have some items from the cash flow feeding back in.
And this was there all along.
For 9 years. For 9 years.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
You can do the same on the cell relationship too. Compare files is also really useful. So if I made a change in this one,
Good.
so say that cell's been deleted by accident, and I'm like, well, my balance sheet isn't balancing anymore. If I compare the files, I need to open the other workbook first, which would help. So you have the two workbooks open. You then go to Inquire and compare files. We want to compare probably version 2 to the original version.
This would make our lives easier.
Yeah.
Sure.
So we can now navigate both versions at the same time, and we'll be able to see where the change has occurred. It will be highlighted to us where differences are. And there's a key on the bottom left where we're able to see that this is a calculated value that's different. And that's one change. But if you have many changes, you'll be able to break it down as well. You can even filter on these too.
This is what gets me, I think that a lot of people will develop a piece of software to do something like that, but they don't realize that Excel already does it, that it's already part of the software. But it's such a particularly this is such a well-kept secret.
Yeah, it just, I don't know, it's just not common knowledge.
Yeah, it's
Is it?
not.
We need to spread the word.
Yeah.
How did you discover this one?
Our team discovered it, it was when I was in London, probably only 4 years ago, and we were using.
When you do an audit.
Yeah, so our audit team discovered it, and they said, have anyone in the build team, so the financial modelling team, have they heard of Inquire? We said, not really. And they said, "Oh, we might be able to use it." And at the same time, we're paying thousands of dollars for third-party add-ins that do exactly the same thing, but it's all part of Excel. Okay, so that's a little bit of the features of Inquire. Probably ran a little bit over time, so apologies for that. Going back to some other options that we have available to us, Inquire isn't there for everyone. It's only on the enterprise license. And so I have worked at places where it's not available. And unfortunately, we have to go to alternative methods of addressing that. So that's the native tools, things that are already included in Excel. It includes my favorite shortcut as well. Okay, so we'll go through that.
Know what that is.
So we have the auditing toolbar, we have Go-To, and we have some other tools as well. Go-To is my favorite shortcut. So F5 or Control-G, it's very versatile, it's fantastic, and not too many people really know about it. So there's a lot of cool things you can do with Go-To. Yeah, and the auditing toolbar, that's our trace dependence, trace precedence. You can develop a watch window and you can evaluate the formula. So those things are very useful too. Going back to my example here, going to the data tab on the ribbon, we're able to see the, where am I looking? Sorry, on the formula tab, it's the formula auditing section. Apologies, I always use keyboard shortcuts. I never actually look at the ribbon. So trace dependence and trace precedence, hopefully most of you know about it. If you don't, we're able to trace where this information in this cell has come from. If it's on the same sheet, we'll get a nice blue arrow. So if I just go to here, we can see where that information is coming from. It's the sum of these two cells. And then for this one, this is coming from the ops sheet. So I can double click on that dotted line and Go-To actually shows up with every cell that refers to that cell, or sorry, that cell has come from. So now I can go to that location. And that's what Go-To is really good for. I can also use Go-To to go back to where I just was. So it records, most of the time, depending on what you've just done, the cell that you were in before your last action. And so to go back to where I was, I just press F5 and then enter. And it's really useful to navigate in that way as well. Trace dependence just does the opposite, and remove arrows does exactly what it says. The error checking itself is useful, particularly for circular references. You'll also sometimes get a warning that there's a circular reference in the bottom left on the status bar. That's quite useful too. And that will show all the cells that are subject to a circular reference. Evaluate formula helps you step into the formula as well. So you can solve each section. I'll find something a bit more complicated, but you can solve each section of a formula one step at a time. So you can see what's going wrong and when the error is generated. I think I have an example of an error in the ops sheet for that.
Joel online saying that he uses Repertory Analyzer.
Okay.
Have you heard of that one?
I have not. There are a lot.
Likes it very much.
Okay, oh, that's good. That's another one. Yeah, there's a lot out there. They all do very similar things, but some are a bit nicer to use than others. So just quickly with Go-To, while we're here, if I wanted to find an inconsistency, so we're missing this formula here in this row, I know that there's an issue in this row, I can select all the cells in that row, press F5 for Go-To, and then special down in that bottom left corner, and I can select row differences. So it's going to go to all of the cells that have a difference in the formula in that row. It's going to select them, and then I could highlight them if I wanted to note but you can see there, all of these cells are different from the ones across that row. And that will do multiple differences. There's also column differences. If you're working down the sheet, you can go to constants, so you'll be able to find any hard code in that row as well. It's really useful. And yeah, just one of the best shortcuts, honestly. I love it. The last thing I want to cover, if I have enough time, is on third-party add-ins. We've had a few mentioned already, so it's probably a good time to come in. I have an example of one called Excel. I'm not sponsored by them, but we do use it as an example in one of our courses on model review. The reason we use it is that it's actually quite cheap. I think it's around about $10 a year, which compared to other software is quite a good price, and it does quite a bit. We can audit formulas, so we can easily trace dependence and precedence, even on formulas that we can't do that with in Excel. For example, an offset, we can find where the offset is actually getting the result from. And we can look through named ranges and evaluate, just like we did before in the evaluate formula. We can map a workbook. And so a map is something that we have produced when we first receive a model for audit. We want to see where the unique formulas are, if there's any inconsistencies or hard codes, and we can visually see this. So I'll show you an example of mapping. You can compare spreadsheets just like we did with Inquire. So something you can do for free. You can follow the calculation flow and then you can produce reports. But the mapping and the formula auditing are probably the two features I find most useful. So in here I have my Excel toolbar, and I can explore precedence and dependence just the same as before, except if I explore precedence, I now get this Explorer pop-up, and I can step to the different locations in all of the precedents to that cell. I can even step into the lookup function to find both the lookup value and the array, and it's giving you that information. It's telling you what part of the formula syntax that cell is and highlighting it for us and navigating there as we go through. So it's really useful to review long formulas or complex formulae, and it just provides us that easy review that you can do with Excel, but just a lot simpler. For the formula map itself, we can see where there's any inconsistencies, unique formulas. There's a key that will tell you what each of these colors mean, and you can even customize it if you want. So we can see the orange is a unique formula. The blue that we can see here is a formula that's been copied across. We can see formulas copied down. So for instance, the green cells here must be the same formula as this unique one there, and so on. So we can go through and we can review our spreadsheets very easily using these map colors. It's particularly good for finding any inconsistencies. The one thing I would say, and this is from experience, always make sure you toggle that off before you save, because it will color your workbook and it will be painful to reformat. So looking at where we may have some inconsistencies, I think there should be some somewhere in this workbook. Try it. It is, otherwise it would hurt your head, right? So you can see here, there's some unique formula. It's different from the rest in that row, and it's very easy to spot because it's a completely different color. That's something that I don't think you'd be able to find.
So Excel is actually, you need to buy that actually, right? How much is that costing us?
I think it's about $10 a year.
Oh, wow, that's pretty good. I think we can all afford that.
Yeah. So it's very cheap when you compare it to the cost of other software that's used for this purpose as well. But it's just very user-friendly. which is good as well. But yeah, so that is an example of what you can do with a third-party add-in. And there's more complex things, obviously, talking about things like offset formulas, indirect, any formula that is difficult to trace using the native trace dependence, trace precedence. It will solve and it will find that as well. Okay, in terms of analytical review techniques, I just want to highlight things like sparklines. So sparklines are little charts that you can put on the side of your model. I can insert the sparkline. It's on the Insert tab on the ribbon, and I can place that wherever I want. And it will put a little column chart in this case right in that cell. And you might think that's not overly useful, but I'm going to be expecting that the generation in this case, in this model, is going to be consistent over time, or maybe it increases. I certainly wouldn't expect it to go up and then down very suddenly. So you'll be able to pick up any potential errors quite quickly with that visual indication. The more detailed you want to get, just make the column wider, and you can start to see the columns form. Outside of
think of that as an audit tool. I love them for analysis.
Yeah, we try to put them on every row of all of our models because it just gives us that instant feedback. But of course, if you wanted to be more detailed, you could also use another shortcut, which is F11, to very quickly develop a column chart. Because again, that visual aid really helps compare numbers and get the trend that we're looking for as well. Scenario analysis, I will probably run out of time, but one of the things that's really important is to make sure that if we change the inputs, the result is what we would expect. So if our price goes down, we should expect that our profit goes down. Or if our costs decrease, we should expect profit to go up. Right? So having different scenarios, different sets of assumptions that we can run to test that the model is reacting how we think it should to those changes is a really good way of analyzing that as well. So we use scenario managers in our models. They're quite common across project finance models. They're just different cases that are selected using a switch and then run through the model.
And just to clarify, by scenario manager, you don't mean the tool called
Yes.
scenario manager?
No, definitely not. No, so it is actually just a worksheet with some assumptions. We don't use the native scenario manager because it's not very user-friendly.
It's got such a fabulous sounding name, but it's really not.
No, it's not. It's not. The other aspect of this is also using data tables, which I know Tim Heng covered in the last session too, to provide the results of all of these scenarios in one go. So any KPIs we have, we're going to be able to see them live. And so we don't need to run through case 1, case 2. We can see all those results in one place. Delta sheets as well will just be a sheet that will show the difference between the live sheet and the base sheet. It's as simple as creating a hard-coded version of, for example, our financial statements, our cash flow statement, and comparing the live version. We have developed an in-house, I don't have it on this laptop. We have developed an in-house macro to do it, but it is very simple too. You can quite easily just create a new version of the sheet that you're on, but all pasted as values. And then you have another sheet that will give you the difference between the two. So then any change that you make in the assumptions that affects the live sheet won't affect the hard-coded sheet, and you'll get the delta difference. That's probably a bit much to do now without the macro and time, but yeah, that is really useful because you're able to see what cells are affected by a change and what ones are not. And that's the principle of it.
Yeah, I never think of it to, I mean, scenarios are such a great addition to a financial model, but to actually use it for review purposes.
Yeah, exactly. And that's probably all we have time for unless there's
Yeah, sure.
any questions.
Yeah, is there anything anybody would like to sort of go over a little bit more, or any particular questions that people have got?
I'm just tantalised by those top 10 errors. We've got time to flash through those.
I think we're okay. I don't think there's anyone on the chat who's got
Okay.
yeah.
All right, top 10. No worries. So this is thanks to our model audit team. They put this together for one of our courses. So error number 1, it almost needs like a drum roll on that. So it's inconsistent formulas across the row, right? And so maps, this is an example from a different piece of software, but it does the same thing as our Excel. It produces the map and it tells us that there's a unique formula in that cell that there really shouldn't be. Apologies. So we know how we can test for that. We can use go-to special row differences. We can use our Excel. We can use Inquire. There's lots of different ways that we can find those inconsistent formulas.
And when you say top 10, this is the most common error that you
Yeah. Not top 10 like the best. It's probably the worst, right? Hash errors. Hash ref. I'm sure we've all seen it. So something that we were referring to has disappeared. Some people call this an error. I actually use this for troubleshooting. So if I'm not sure what's going wrong, I'll actually just delete whole sections of a model and just see where the refs fall out. Obviously save a version first before you do that. But it can be a very useful way of checking what's linked and maybe what's not. Unused inputs. So again, Inquire is really good for that. It will give you a list of any inputs, any hard codes you have that have not been referred to in a formula, because the user ultimately can think that they're changing something in the model by updating an input, but it's actually not linked anyway. Of course, you could just use trace dependence as well, but you'd have to check all of your inputs. And labels, making sure that your labels are explanatory. They give some detailed information as well. Error 2, escalation. So usually we'll be modeling cash flows in nominal terms. We'll be adjusting for inflation. It may not be applied appropriately. Do we need to uplift the cost at the start of each calendar year? Does it need to be uplifted period to period? Is it using the correct rate? Should it be applied or should it not? One of the great questions we have working on energy sector models is that the price contracts are in nominal terms. So we don't need to escalate it. So even asking the question of should it be escalated or not. There are 3 irregularities in financial statements. So the wrong sign. Do we have our liabilities in our balance sheet as a negative? And does our net assets add the negative liabilities to the positive assets? Are we using the right sign in the right direction? Sparkline's really good for this. You'll be able to see what happens when you change the scenario to, so it's that visual aid as well. Macros, this is a big topic. So where macros don't solve or they take too long to run, always making sure we save before we run a macro is a really good one too. I won't spend too much time on that because that's probably a whole topic of its own. Ratios, I'm not going to get into this particular one, but if ratios are calculated correctly, and particularly referring to documentation, if you need to report a ratio for a lender or some external purpose, making sure that it actually calculates that correctly.
Because there's some different interpretations sometimes.
Exactly. Returns. So again, these are ratios, making sure that these are being calculated correctly, using nominal cash flows rather than real cash flows, pre versus post-tax cash flows, making sure that we're communicating which ones are being used, using the right discount rate as well, whether that be WACC or cost of equity or something else. And then use of XNPV and XIRR rather than NPV and IRR. Again, a whole other topic as well. DSRAs, revolving lines of credit, any complex debt facility that you're including in a model that requires multiple cash flows at different points in of priority as well. Especially if there's a circularity introduced and making sure that it runs. Finance documents, already mentioned it, making sure that we actually represent covenants, ratios, timing, any restrictions on distributions appropriately as well, in line with those documents. This is a whole other process of a model audit, is making sure that the model actually reflects the documents of the project. There are 9 sensitivities and scenarios, so the input's not being linked. The calculation is just not calculating appropriately. And then 10 stub period adjustments. So where we're moving costs around, maybe we're looking at interest, fees, making sure that the first and last periods of calculations are correct and everything's being wrapped up. And rather than just those full periods, I had today actually talking about working capital adjustments, trade debtors, trade creditors, making sure things wrap up appropriately too. But that's the top 10 errors.
There's some critical comments on the chat that I'll just read out.
Yeah, sure.
Quite a few comments earlier. Wow, what an eye-opener. Thanks, Joshua. Colin says, does a dynamic arrays not solve error 1? No, not necessarily.
No.
They're used correctly.
Yeah.
So error 1 being the consistency of formulas, and suggesting that if you use dynamic arrays that automatically spill down, that would get around that. It would improve it maybe, but not entirely.
You have to be comfortable and experienced with using dynamic arrays.
Yeah.
I'm certainly not yet. I'm trying.
Yes, I'm trying to use them as much as I can just to really get myself used to using them and clients to having them in the models, sure. Francina says, is there a way to find out what the ref used to be?
Have a previous version of the model.
It's gone, because
yeah.
it's not there anymore.
No,
so,
no, it's not.
Unless you can go through a previous version of the model and see what was there.
Version control, very important too.
And saving it on Teams and OneDrive does a great job of that, because it will automatically save it at various points.
Yeah.
Great. Why is a great find. Thank you. This has given me fantastic insights. I love seeing tools that experts use.
Awesome.
That's just about it. I've got to say, when I do financial modelling, I don't do a huge amount of auditing or reviewing of models, because I guess I don't consider that to be the sexy or the fun part of financial modelling. But I've got to say, it's it is quite interesting. Some really good things that you can use, and I think. I always think it's a lot more fun to actually build the model, but then when you've built it, you need to make sure that it's.
And that's the less fun part, isn't it?
Yeah. But it is really important.
Very important.
Because very often somebody will say, rarely somebody will come and say, build a model from scratch. They'll say, build a model and it's not working. You have to always look at other people's models, and these tools are a really great way of doing that. Thank you so much, Joshua. That was
Thank you, Danielle.
Very insightful. Fantastic. Anything else you'd like to mention before we sign off?
No, thank you for having me. It's been great.
Stop it. Just go.